All right. Hi, guys. I wanted to make a little video for you as a reminder about estimating when we're doing quotients. Okay. So, quotients, remember, are when you are trying to solve it's the answer when we're solving a division problem. Okay. So, that's the first thing we want to think about. So, we have a word called partial quotients. Now, when we talk about partial quotients, what are we talking about, right? That is the question. So let's actually look at the word. Let's look at partial quotients and let us, not do that. Let's define it. That's what I'm looking for. Define it. Okay, so what does partial mean? Partial is like pieces of, right? Or part of. It actually has that word part of in it. Now, what does quotients mean? Quotients is the answer when you are dividing. Okay, so that's what a quotient is. It's the answer when you are dividing. In multiplication, we call it the product. Okay. In division, we call it the quotient. So partial is a piece of or a part of, and a quotient is the answer when you're dividing. So a partial quotient is a piece of or a part of your division answer. Does that make sense? Okay, so now let's talk about estimating. Okay, estimation is another word that we use sometimes in all sorts of things. What does it mean? Estimating means you're just giving an approximation. You are just making, it could be like a guess, or it's not really what a guess is. It's like when you're estimating is you're trying to make things easier for yourself, and especially in division. So the only reason you would estimate in division is because you want to make it an easier number to use. So you are not an exact number. How's that for a definition? Estimating is more of like not an exact number. Whoops. Let me do it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing on this app. It's crazy. Estimating. Let's go with that. Not. Let me do anything? Not an exact. Okay. Now, if we were to do an exact number, we would sometimes get remainders if our number is a weird enough number. But sometimes we don't need an exact number. We can just have a roundabout number. Now, here's the thing that gets tricky when you're estimating with division. You're not necessarily looking for the closest number to the number. Let me just show you. Okay. If I had the number 50 and I want to divide it by 407. Okay, that's the problem. 50 divided by 407. But on the directions it says estimate it. What that means is you're going to come up with a number instead of 407. If you did 50 divided by 407, you'd end up with a remainder because 50 doesn't go into 7 at all, right? And so, but maybe there is a number closer to 407 that 50 would go into. So that's when we do our fact family, right? Remember, this is called your fact fam. Now, with your fact family, this is when you are going to start doing multiplication. Okay, this is why we practice it all the time, because it is used all the time. So with your fact families, we're going to be looking up multiples of 50. Now, do not get scared by 50. It's not a scary number. Okay, we've got this. We know the multiples of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, right? We know those. We can do the same with our 50. So 50 times 2 is 100, right? 50 times 3 is what? 150. Good. let's skip a little bit, okay? And you would keep going. If 50 times 3 is 150, what is 50 times 6? That's right, 300, because we know 5 times 6 is 30, so 50 times 6 is 300 because we have practiced this so many times. So what would 50 times 7 be? 5 times 7 is 35. 50 times 7 is 350. Are we getting close to the number 407? We are. Okay, so we're getting close to a good number to estimate. 50 times 8 equals 400. That's a good number. What about 50 times 9? Let's go up one more. 50 times 9 is 450. Now, 450 would also be a good number to switch to estimate it to. Okay, it could work, but it's bigger than 407, and 400 is kind of closer. So let's just go there. So we're going to switch this to 50 divided by 400. All right, now it's time to do division. 50 divided by 400. How many times are you going to multiply 50 to get to 400? Well, thank goodness we just did all this work on our fact family, because we can look right at it and find our answer, right? 50 times 8 is 400. So if I want an exact, I'm going to go with that, because watch this. I put the 8 there because I know that 8 times 50 is 400. And since we're doing partial quotient, excuse me, I've been doing that all day, partial quotient. Since we're doing that, we know that we're going to have to add stuff up because we're just getting pieces of it, right? So 400 minus 400 is a whopping 0. Can I go any further? No, I'm all done. I'm going to look at my partial quotients, which I list on the side here. Look at that. There's just an 8. So I'm going to put the 8 here. Now it's time for me to check my work. Okay, I have to do 50 times 8. I want 50 times 8 because to get to check, let's see this, let's write it down. To check, you multiply divisor by quotient. Remember, quotient is the answer. And here we are saying that 8 times 50, this is the divisor, right? Whoops. This guy, oh, that's why. This guy here, he is your divisor. Divisor. He is telling you what you are dividing into. So that is your divisor, and this here is your quotient. Okay, but it's a partial quotient. So that's your partial quotient. Okay, but it's the only one, so it is our quotient. This is the quotient. That is the granddaddy. That's your quotient. So 8 times 50 is 400. We know that because we already did it here. 50 times 8 is 400. We got it right. Now, let's take a look. Let's do this one more time with the partial products, but let's look at it as if maybe we didn't go so exact. Maybe over here, we're still doing it by 400 because we're estimating. That happened to be the directions for this one. It says 50 divided by 400. I recognize that that does not look good. I want to make my numbers look good. Okay, this is what it's got to look good so that you can understand what you are doing. Now, one way for me to do this, especially on Jamboard, is I'm going to zoom in. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can do that a little bit better. All right, we'll work there. All right, so 400. Let's look at our fact family. We've already done it. What if I said 50 times 6 is 300. That's close to 400. That feels good. So 50 times 6 is 300. We're going to put the 6 down here next to this line. 6 times 50 is 300. We know that because we know that 6 times 5 is 30. Now we're going to subtract. We're left with 100. Okay. Now I have to see how many times does 50 go into 100. I could say one more time. I'm going to put a 1 down here. 50 times 1 is 50. I'm going to subtract. I'm going to be left with 50. Excuse me. How many times does 50 go into 50? One time. 1, 50. I subtract. What do I end with? Excuse me. I am left with 0. All done. Just kidding. No, I'm not. I am not all done. Now I have a list of partial quotients. I have to add those together. Let's see what happens. 6, 7, 8. The total here is 8. 8 is my quotient. 6, 1, and 1 are just my partial quotients. They are just pieces of the part. Okay? 8 is the actual answer. I'm going to put the 8 up here. Let's go ahead and put a little box around it so we know that I know that this is my quotient. Now, I'm not done. To check, you multiply the divisor, bloop, this guy, times your quotient, bloop, this guy. Again, 50 times 8. I would come over here and I would do my math. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 5 is 40. My answer is 400. Is 400 the same as here, your whole number? Yes, it is. Boom, we're done. We got it, okay? We checked, we added our partial quotients, and we got our quotient. Take a look. 8, 8. We got there the same way, okay? Just here, we went right into it. So don't get scared if you don't use the exact number. It's okay. When you follow the steps of partial quotients, you will start adding it up and adding it in there. Now, we did this as a lesson today in class, so this is just an extra for you. So I'm going to stop here for now. Just remember, when you are estimating while dividing, you are looking for a number that your divisor will divide into easily or evenly, okay? So you want to make it simple. You're not just looking for like 410. 410's not going to help me. 400 would help me, or the next number up, okay? That's why we write our fact family. So 450 would help me. I could have gotten there by saying 450 too. All right, friends. I hope this works for you. Okay, bye. See if I can figure out how to stop it.